Hey guys, welcome to this year's Foxtrot. I'm super excited that you're here, and I'm equally excited that Lindsay and Jillian invited me along the way to be here with you. My name is Logan Grundy. I'm the owner at Peak Health Revolution, which is an online health coaching platform. Also an acupuncturist just like Lindsay, and I've kind of transitioned over to that online platform so I can serve more people through the rest of life that's kind of outside of that clinical setting. So what I'm here to do for you guys is provide any assistance you might need with cross training. So whether that's a little bit of strength exercises, some prep before you go out for the run once you get back, or any kind of soft tissue work that you're going to need to do to keep yourself feeling good for it. So if anything comes up throughout, if you don't understand an exercise, if you're having trouble with anything, I want you guys to reach out and let me know, and I'll help you through that. I've selected these exercises to help you guys get through everything that's not specifically just the running program, but how do we get through that and prevent injuries and feel good throughout the entire process. So what I've done is put together a bunch of clips for you guys of different exercises that we're going to use. So we're going to do some strength-based stuff, some stability stuff, what we can do before and after our runs, a little bit of stretching, and a bit of soft tissue work with like a foam roller or a ball. I've made this accessible to everyone. You don't need any equipment. If you have a little bit like a foam roller and a glute band, that will definitely help you. But again, it can be done with no equipment, and I'll show you guys the videos now. We're going to do basically all of these exercises from a park just to show you that you don't need a gym, you don't need any fancy equipment. You can do it all with your body weight. Or we're going to show you the tibialis anterior raise. This is a really good one for your knee. If you get knee pain going on hills or when you run, this will help to strengthen your lower legs so you have less pain through your knee. All we need to do is come to an angle with a tree, a wall, something that you have accessible to you, and all we're doing is raising our feet up. And we're going to do this until we start to feel a bit of a strain or fatigue on the front of your calves. Just simple up and down, and where you're going to feel it is right in through this area. So second exercise that we're going to do that's going to be really beneficial to our knees and working on the shin or the front of your leg is walking up a hill backwards. It's just going to simply walk up it. Obviously, watch where you're going, but walk up this hill backwards. We got the glute bridge, so there's two ways to do that. First one we're going to start off with is just simply down like this. We're going to bring both legs up at the same time and hold for a couple seconds, squeezing through your glutes. Come back down. More advanced version, you're just going to lift one leg up, still come up, hold, come back down, trying to keep the hips from rotating as you do that. Keep them square still, and then come up and hold. And again, the first variation is just coming up and holding here with both. Next is the lateral walk. You can do this with a band or without, so if you don't have anything, that's fine. What we're going to do is get into a bit of an athletic position here, and then we're just going to move sideways. Little shuffles is all we're doing, and then same thing coming back. If you don't have room for that, you can also just stand here if you can find something to stabilize on, or just do it without, and just little leg lifts like this can be fine as well. If you have a band, you can take it. What you're going to do is put it just above your knees, and then what you're going to do while you're doing this exercise is push out into that band a little bit. And as we step, we want to make sure that this knee's not caving in. We're keeping it pressed out into that band. So as we step, that knee stays out and strong, versus if I come in and it caves in, my knees are getting crushed by the band. We want to keep them strong, push out, and then we're just moving sideways with that. So if you don't have access to a band, that little glute band can be super helpful. But if you don't, and you want something that's going to really push those glutes as well, this is a really good alternative to use. What we're going to do is some work from the ground. It's called the 7-way hip exercise, but we're going to actually do more than 7 exercises because I've modified it to hit different muscle groups a little bit more. So what we're going to do, we're going to start down here, find a nice comfortable position. Usually I bend this leg just to help balance you. Then you're going to start about a foot off the ground here, and you're going to move up about 6 inches, and you're going to do a set number of these. That's difficult for you, but you're able to get through. Then you're going to come forward about 15 degrees, so now you should be in line with this leg. Same thing here. Then you're going to come back about 15 degrees. You don't want to get a big arch through your back, just come back as far as it can go comfortably, and you're going to do a set number there. Then you're going to come back to here, and you're going to swing this leg forward, and then same thing coming back. And then you're going to go through that full range all the way forward to back. And then you're going to you're going to make little circles like you're doing a little clock here. And then you're going to come back the other way, go counterclockwise. You'll really start to feel your glutes starting to burn after this, and that's how you're going to decide how many reps you're going to do. So if you can get through 4 reps of each one before you can't quite finish, or you're like really feeling it at the end, then do 4. Or if you can get through 8, do 8, that sort of thing. Last one of this is to do a little bicycle here. So like you're biking forward, and then like you're biking backwards. And those are going to be all of them. So just to remind you, that's forward, or sorry, that's here, just straight. Then you're coming forward. Then you're coming back. And then you're coming forward here with a little swing. You're coming back with a little swing. Then you're doing a full swing. Then you're going into your clockwise, counterclockwise, then into your bike, clockwise, and counterclockwise. And that will get your hips really, really well for anyone who doesn't have access to a band and doesn't want to do the standing variations without a band. Let's take a look at the dead bug exercise. It's one of the best core exercises that you can do because it teaches you the foundations to do more advanced core work. It teaches you how to brace your core and then move your extremities beyond that point. So we're gonna go over it in depth because a lot of people are just going through the movement of it without getting the details down. So what we want to do is drop down into the starting position. We're not even going to use our hands. They're going to go onto our core so that we can feel what's happening there. Number one thing is this back, we don't want it arched all up. We also don't want to be pushing hard into the ground. I like the idea of telling people, imagine there's a little towel underneath your lower back. I was trying to pull it out. We want some resistance on it, but not too much to the point where I can't pull it out. So you want resistance, but not too much in there. So just slight arch, not push super hard down, and not all the way up. And then we want to maintain core bracing throughout this. So we are going to put our hands there so that we can feel that our core is engaged a little bit. And then we're simply going to just move our legs one at a time, back and forth. Not only are we paying attention to this leg coming out, but this one is staying up at the same time, and then this one comes all the way back up, and this one. So we're also maintaining that this knee is up near this shoulder. We're driving it up, not just holding it kind of half down here. This one's coming up this way at the same time that this one's coming down, and then we're swapping those and maintaining our hands on our core so that we can feel the tension that's in there right now. What I'm going to do is the standing march, so you can do this with or without a band. If you don't have a band, all you want to do, bring this leg up as high as you can and hold it as high as you can for 2 to 3 seconds here, holding, and you're trying to push it up as high as you can, and then you'll bring it back down, and you can go on to the next side, hold it as high as you can for a couple seconds, and you should start to feel that leg fatiguing a little bit as you do that. If you have a band, all you're going to do is put it around each foot, and now you have that resistance built in, and you can just go back and forth in a standing march. Go over the touchdown exercise. It's a really good one for our hip stability, and it's something that anyone can do from home. All you need is a stair in your house. Something about this high is a really good starting point. I'm going to show you a little more advanced on this bench. All we want to do, if we're starting up here, is under control, come down, just barely touch our toe down, and return back to that starting position. Like this, what we want to focus on is that this knee's not diving in or waving all around. We're trying to keep it nice and straight, kind of over our toes. Come down, touch. And again, you can perform that at home on a stair. If you need the extra little support of touching a wall or railing or something, by all means do that. But try and force yourself to control your balance as much as possible. So our second exercise that's going to help with the stability of our hips, our knee, is going to be just a quarter squat, single leg. And the reason being is when you're running, everything's basically done on one leg at a time. So it's not about hitting a certain depth, it's about going to a level that's going to challenge you to get to that level and to still stay stabilized and balanced through it. So you can bring this leg back, forward, whatever's most comfortable for you. And you're just coming down to a quarter squat and back up. And this could look like that amount of depth, or it could be much shallower than that. For some people, it might just be to here. Just go to your comfort level. If you need a little bit of a stability assist, you can touch a wall, hold a pole, something like that. But really try and do as much of it just with your body as you can, and just use that as an assist, not completely balancing on it. Next, we're going to go over one of my absolute favorites before going out for a run, and that's called the world's greatest stretch. If you look this up online, you might see a lot of different variations of this. Doing any of those are fine, but here's the simple version for you. What you want to do is come down into like a deep lunge here with this back leg out quite far. Plant this hand under your shoulder so you're nice and stable here. Then we're going to take this hand, we're going to come all the way up and get rotation through our spine. So a nice straight line from our bottom arm down here all the way up to our top arm. Then we're going to bring that all the way through and tuck it under the other side and see how far out I can get my hand here and how far down past this hip I can get. And then I'm going to come back up through there again. If you didn't catch that on the first one there, I'm going to show you this from the side so you can see just how it looks from the side with how far back that leg is and where that front leg is. So all you're doing, you just bring this big step back and dropping into wherever it's comfortable for you. So you want this shoulder over this hand and kind of in line with this leg, and this one is just coming back and out. Some leg swings. This is another really good one to do before you get into your runs. We're going to do two ways. We're going to come this way and we're going to go to the side. I'll show you that one in a second. Front and back though, you're just going very simply like this. Use something to help support yourself if you need. If you have really good balance and you don't need, by all means do that as well. Going front to back, then turning and coming on the side here like this. And those are your leg swings. Okay, we're going to go over CARs. This means controlled articular rotations. Very simply, it basically just means you're going through a full range of motion with each joint. We're going to work on the hip and then I'll show you the ankle. So what we want to do with the hip, first come up as high as we can, similar to with that marching one, and then we're going to rotate it as far this way as we can. Then we're going to come out and around and back as far as we can, and then come back around to that starting position. So you're here, you rotate in this way. As I move my leg out this way, I go from this to this. So we're starting here. As I come out, keep it still as high as I can. And then as I come behind me, we're keeping it out as far back as we can to make as big of a circle with that hip as possible. So let's take a look at this one from the side. Same starting position. You're trying to keep that hip up as high as you can. And as you come around the back, you're trying to keep this leg as far back as you can and high as you can without getting a big arch in your back. So you don't want super flat back arch this way. You don't want to be this way. You just want kind of a neutral back, come around, and then keeping this up as high as I can. So my glute's quite activated right now, and you're feeling it a bit through that hamstring and glute area to get it as high as you can. Then coming back to your starting point. Now let's do the ankle. Best way to do this is loop this leg underneath so that you can support it like this. And same thing with the controlled articular rotations. We're just doing as big a circles as we can. So nice, slow, trying to make that big circle with your foot and going in both directions as well. So this is really good for both your hip and your ankle mobility and health to take it through that full range of motion. Next up, we're going to do the pigeon pose. I'm going to show you a variation that you can do if you can't get into the pigeon pose well. I'll show you that in a minute. We'll start with just the regular pigeon pose. So we want to just get down to the ground. This leg's coming out in front of us, and then we're kind of just rolling over it. If you can have this leg out at a straighter angle, that's great. If you're like me and you got pretty tight hips, you can have this at more of an angle, and then you're just coming over it and resting down into it. I like to just kind of rest my head on my hands with it, or you can also do like a nice tall variation here like this. If you need and you have really tight hips, you can put a little pillow or a yoga block or something like that under this hip to help support you so that you can kind of relax into the movement and not be holding so much tension. And then eventually I usually just end up down here And I like to hold this one for quite a while. I'll often do 2, 3, 4 minutes with it. I feel like it's one that takes a while to release, so that's why I spend extra time here. If you have trouble getting into the pigeon pose, what you can do is what's called an elevated pigeon pose. You're just going to find something about this height, get your leg up on it, and you're still going to come over same as you normally would, but an elevated one's going to be a little bit easier for you to do. Next one we're going to go over is the couch stretch. This is what the final position looks like. What you're going to do, you're going to start down on the ground, get this leg up. If you can only get to here or even down here, do that. But the idea is to try and get higher and higher until you can get all the way up here into this pose to stretch out the front of your quad. Next one we're going to do is great for both your ankle mobility and then also stretching out the bottom of your foot and kind of the front of your shin. So we have two options here. This is a really good one to do in the evening. Maybe you're watching a little kid, maybe you're watching TV, just having a conversation. Anytime where you're just kind of would normally be sitting on a couch kind of thing, I like to do this one. What we're doing, we're just sitting like this with my toes tucked under here. We're getting a stretch to the back of the foot, and I'm just sitting here hanging out for multiple minutes. Our other variation of this that we want to alternate with is just going flat-footed like this. And now you can see the ankle is in a totally different position, and now I'm stretching through the front of my leg, and that ankle is opened up opposite to how it is when we're here. So spending time in both this and all right, next we're going to look at the hamstring lockout. So you're going to need to have some kind of thing. I have a resistance band to show you. You can easily do this with like a t-shirt, a towel, whatever you have on hand that's going to allow you to just kind of have something around your foot so that you don't have to get your hands all the way out there. So what we're going to do, we're going to come back. This is for our hamstrings. I'm going to try and straighten this leg out and pulling it back a bit, getting lots of tension in through here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bit of a bend in it, and then I'm going to lock it out. Bend in it, lock it out, and I'm just playing with where I find the most tension there. So for me, pulling it up more is going to make that harder. Sometimes you'll find a little rotations of your leg or bringing it in and out a bit. You're just looking for where you find the most tension with it. And then putting a little bend in and then letting that go is going to help your quad and your hamstring balance themselves out essentially. For the calf stretch, all you need is a curb or a wall. You're going to go leg up, we're going to go straight leg coming forward until you feel the stretch. Alternatively, we're also going to bend the knee just a little bit, still come forward. That's going to stretch the two different muscles of the calf. Alright you guys, I got my ball with me and my Nalgene to prove to you that you need absolutely like pretty much no equipment. If you have a foam roller, that is fantastic. If you want to go out and buy one, that's also fantastic. It's a great investment in yourself to have that to do that kind of soft tissue work, whether it's lots of time spent at the desk that you're trying to counteract or the running, whatever it is, it's a great investment. If you don't have that at home though, a lot of us will have some kind of a ball. I have a lacrosse ball, maybe it's a softball, a tennis ball, whatever kind of ball. A ball is really good and something cylindrical. You can do a Nalgene, you can do a thermos, a rolling pin, a PVC pipe. You have lots of options here, so I'm going to show you with two simple options that you can do it even if you don't have a foam roller. So what we're going to do, first one, we're going to work on our hip flexor muscle, our TFL, right in here. So what we want to do is find the bony part of the front of our hip. We're going to go about 4 fingers down from that, and right here, when you lift your leg, you're going to feel a little piece pop out at you. That's the area we want to target. And what you'll find is once you start working this general area, you're going to find a spot that's particularly tender. You can do this one with a ball or a roller. So what we're going to do, we're going to get down with the ball, and I'll show you the roller as well. You're not going to be able to see it well, but this is the area we're targeting, and you'll see the body positioning that I use for this one. So I just kind of find that spot, and then I bring this leg up and onto my elbows so that I can kind of roll back and forth and find that position. So for me now it's here, and you can see that I'm kind of rolled this way a bit, so I'll just adjust it to sit into it. And once you find the spot, you really can just sit into that spot until you feel it starting to release. When I find it release, maybe I shift a bit, and maybe now it's more comfortable like this, but having this leg out kind of acts as a kickstand, and then you're just kind of hanging out with these arms supporting your upper body. Same thing if you were to do it with a foam roller or a Nalgene or something like that. You're just going to do the same thing here, Kind of roll up and down until you find the spot. This is a really good one to actually roll your body with too instead of the roller. And roll over until you just find the right angle there for you. So for me it's right here, and then just spending some time, little movements around that area to roll out that hip flexor. We're going to look at the quad. So this is one that you definitely want to roll with like a foam roller or something like this versus the ball in this area. You can do it with the ball if that's all you have, but I do find the roller is better. What we want to do is roll on a couple different angles. So we want to spend time here rolling directly over the quad this way, rolling on the inner edge here and the outer edge here. Personally, I don't roll the IT bend. What I prefer to do is roll on the edge of it on this side and on the edge of it on this side versus directly onto it. I just find it's more comfortable and still gets a lot of work done in that area. So if you get pain out in this part of your knee, a lot of people will roll on that IT bend. I do both of the kind of 45 angles and find I get better results with that. So all you're gonna do is simply start at the top and slowly work your way down and stop and work on the spots that are more tender to you. Now we're going to do our calves. Very easy one to do here. You're just going to slowly make your way up. Again, stopping at any tender spots and working into them a little bit more. You can adjust the angle as you go, or you can do multiple passes, finding those tender spots. If the pressure of just one leg isn't enough, all you have to do, take this other leg, put it on top, and you're going to get that additional pressure in through there. Okay, you guys, you are going to be putting a lot more mileage on your feet, so we need to take care of those feet as well. You're just simply dropping the ball onto the ground here, and we're just rolling out the bottom of our foot. What you'll probably find is this inner side, this arch area, is where you're going to find the tender spots. Next one we're going to do is really important for working on the calf and the bottom of the foot. If you start getting foot pain throughout the running, you're going to notice that this area also gets tender. Working on this area can help the foot tremendously. What we want to do is get into a position I like to use. It's called the 90-90 position. Doesn't have to be perfectly 90 degrees, but what it allows me to do is have the area I want to work on directly in front of me. What you want to do, grab a ball, you're going to poke around, you'll find bone here. You want to be just behind the bone on the back side of that bone, just along your calf on the inner edge. And then you're going to take this ball and you're just going to look, where's that tender spot for you? So for me, it's right there. So you're going to find it's typically going to be about halfway to a third of the way from my ankle here up to my knee, kind of where you see the bulk of your calf starting to ball up. Somewhere in this area here is where you'll find that tender spot, and you just want to press that ball into it. If you don't have a ball, just simply use your thumb, a little self-massage, really trying to find that most tender area for you. So press along there, and then when you find it, just hold pressure on it for 30 seconds or until it kind of starts to dissipate. Work around into that area. That can be a really good one, both for the calves and for the feet. All right, we're gonna get into our glutes now. So if you have very tight, sore, tender glutes, best place to start with this, if you have the tools, is a foam roller. If you don't, then go to a bigger ball and work smaller as you get to the point where you can handle more and more. So just starting with the foam roller or an Nalgene, a thermos, whatever you have on hand, you're going to roll. So you can start with your legs straight out. I find this is less tension because the muscle just doesn't have as much tension in it, and you just roll, find those tender bands, and then work into them. Again, you can roll your body a little bit as opposed to the roller. When that's feeling pretty good, next kind of progression I like to do is bring this leg up. I find that adds just a little bit more tension to it, and you can find some sore spots again. If that's feeling pretty good and you feel like you're not getting very deep and you're not finding those spots with a roller, switch to, if you have it, ideally would be a softball, and then you would progress to a lacrosse ball from there. I don't have the softball, so I'm just going to show you with the lacrosse ball. All you're doing is you're just going to put that ball in there and just hunt down those sore spots. So you can do it straight leg, bring the leg up, or you can even drop your body down and find those spots and work into them. All right, you guys, so there's your little library of videos. If you have any questions about them, reach out, let me know. And a really important piece here that I want to emphasize is if you start to feel any pain or discomfort going through this running is get on top of it right away. Let us know, reach out to me, and I will help you through that so that you're able to get through this month and have it be a very positive experience for you guys. I want you to really enjoy the Foxtrot. It's a ton of fun. And if you have any questions, again, reach out, send me a message, and I'll help you through anything.